playing in practice to get in the game. And I told Jaden, if you're open, shoot it. All right, thanks, folks. You need one more?
Just what impresses you the most about what A-Cup is doing at this young of an age?
Say who?
What impresses you the most about what A-Cup is doing at this young of an age?
His body language, his ability to make everybody better, his will to win and make big baskets, like he thrives in that, and there's not many. And I've coached some really good guards over the years, and I've had a few this way, but he's right there with them. I'm just telling you, he's unique and special, and I would imagine everybody saw it today. But, you know, it was a good game. Thanks.
LeBaron, Sherrell, and Amari are coming.
That's the most lackluster thing I've ever been a part of. Tell them we're ready when they are.
Just make sure you don't fall. I told you shit not getting even check my clothes.
Just for any guy that wants to answer, not one but two clutch threes from Houston late. Just how happy are you guys for him to step up in those big moments for you guys?
I would say, just coming off that little rub screen at the end, I already knew, once I seen two guys still on the ball, what the read was, and once he got the ball in his hands, I just felt so confident. I was just backing up past half court just because I knew he was going to make it. So that was a big time three by him. I mean, I don't think he, scored in regulation, as Coach said in the locker room, but he just kept that confidence, and he hit two big threes, in overtime. So that was good to see, him keeping that same confidence and just staying ready for his moment.
Yeah, Aiden, have you ever played 40 minutes in a game before? How's your body feeling after playing that much? Just what kind of led to your big night out there?
I feel great, and I want to give a shout out to Clark Holter and Coach Hen. They're a big reason why I was able to go out there and play all 40 minutes, and it speaks volumes.
Yeah, question for LeBaron. When in the second half they had a 14-point lead and they were kind of staying in a comfortable spot, how did you break through and essentially lead you guys back to the game?
You know, we just been through a lot of adversity throughout the season. So, you know, I just told my guys, don't break. You know, we can change this around in, you know, in a quick, fast, and a hurry. And, like, once we locked in and just got it all together, you know, we started pushing back into that lead, and we just kept chopping it down. So, you know, once guys see that, you know, we gained a lot of confidence. We just kept rolling with that momentum.
Hey, Amari, you had 45 minutes tonight. Just how are you feeling after that?
I feel good. I mean, same thing he said. Shout out to Hen and Clark. You know, they always do everything they can to make us feel right. But, I mean, we'll get in tomorrow, get some recovery, and we'll be ready to go by Saturday.
Yeah, LeBaron, you surpassed Brandon Miller in most 20-point games in a single season. I mean, Mark Sears is the lead, but you surpassed Brandon Miller. But just as an in-state guy, what does that kind of mean to you?
You know, just keeping my head on with the team. Just not really worried about accolades or nothing like that. Keeping, you know, Alabama basketball the most important thing on my mind, and, you know, my mentality going into games and stuff like that. I think Coach Oates did a great job of, you know, helping me prepare for this game. You know, not trying to press and try to, you know, outplay the other guards or outscore the guards on their team. Just, you know, will your team to a win. And I think, you know, in those last 15 minutes, I really, you know, did that. You know, got my team together and just led us to a win. Try to, you know, get guys open, build their confidence, and just, like, make the right play at the end of the game. So.
Yeah, they had a pretty short rotation. They were playing only 7 guys until foul trouble. Did you see those guys start to wear down at all?
Who that was? Yeah, we coach. You know, coach told us early on those guys they're going to get tired. They didn't really have a deep rotation, and we knew it. So, you know, the game kept just getting longer and longer, and we knew they wasn't going to sustain the, you know, the fatigue for a long time. So that was great just to see them break like that.
This is from Amari. You had to guard Acuff some on the perimeter, and they had a really good guard group. But you guys, you know, gave up 65 in the first 18 plus, but you held them to 30 to get the game to overtime. What was kind of the key to slowing them down a little bit?
You know, we had to pick up our pressure. He had some tough shots in the first half. I mean, he had tough shots all game. I mean, he's a great guard. But, you know, we changed our coverage a little bit, picked our pressure up, you know, kept making them take tough twos, tough threes, and that really slowed them down.
LeBaron, you've gone through it before. How much did this feel like an NBA draft pre-combine game?
Just from conditioning wise, I would say it definitely felt like that. You know, this is probably one of the games that I think we didn't actually like play a double overtime. So it was just like, from a conditioning wise, it felt just like that. You know, just running up and down, really just that pace of level of basketball, just getting used to that. And I think, you know, our guys, we don't really just like try to overcomplicate it. We try to come in and practice. You know, early on we just used to, you know, go at each other, and now it's just like we just trying to compete hard every day and just build on that. So.
Hey, LeBaron, a lot was made this week about you going up against Acuff, 2 really good guards. I'm interested, do you relish those opportunities to go against the best kind of guys? And how much thought about it did you put in last night thinking about, hey, I'm going to try to go toe-to-toe with this guy and I'll play him?
Yeah, like I said, Coach Oates, he did a very good job, you know, just keeping me composed and just worried about winning the game. For the most part, you know, if he's, you know, he told me a statement, you know, if you outplay him, that's great, but just lead your team to a win. And that was mainly my focus, so.
So for all 3 of you playing in an environment like this and type of game like this, double overtime, just describe like the atmosphere, being able to play this game at home, especially for you, Amari, just being in a type game like this as a freshman, just what it was like to be out there on the floor tonight.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to the fans. You know, they really came. It was real loud at multiple points of the game, and, you know, just being able to cherish those moments. You know, not everyone gets to play in environments like this. So for them to show out like that in big games, really means a lot.
Yeah, LeBaron, we saw you smiling with Darius after the game, and you guys talked before this game, and what was said post-game between you two after this performance?
Yeah, you know, I know him. I know Malik, Thomas, those guys, Billy Richmond, all those guys, you know, just growing up, coming out of high school, you know, I played against those guys, been at camps, you know, everything. And just like those guys, like they really good competitors. They, you know, him and Malik is really young, you know, freshmen. So, but they ready to go head to head with anybody. So that was a great, you know, feeling just to go out there and play against some, you know, old friends that, you know, coming out of high school, playing against them in high school and stuff like that.
job, big fella.
probably a fun game for you guys. I'm sure the fans enjoyed that, at least our fans. But, you know, man, you got to give them a lot of credit because they're down men. I mean, to play a 50-minute game and basically play it with 7 guys. I mean, at the end, they played a couple guys that never really played, so they had to for the foul trouble. You got to give those guys a ton of credit. I mean, Acuff played 50 minutes, scored 49 points. Obviously, our defense wasn't very good on him, particularly in the first half, but even after halftime, he had 27. So he's a good player. We got to do a better job. As coaches, having a better game plan. I did think we got a little bit better game plan there late, but man, he hit some tough shots and, you know, got to the free throw line. Shoot, him and Malik Thomas are pretty skilled. I mean, 2 of those guys go 12 of 20 from 3, hit every one of their threes except the one Wagner made there, I think at the start of first or second overtime, I can't remember, but a lot of the stuff runs together. But, man, you know, you got to give our guys a lot of credit too. You know, Aiden Sherrill, who typically hasn't been able to play much over 30 minutes, played almost 40. You know, ends up with 26 and 13, 10 of 13 from the field, 6 of 7 at the free throw line, and ends up winning our hard hat deal. He played hard. He played well. We kind of went to the switch in and put him on some different guys there in the second half. I thought for the most part he did a good job. A couple tough calls went against him, but, you know, he just hung in there, kept playing hard. So, you know, thought Philon made some big plays late, particularly on the offensive end. Holloway made some big free throws and plays late. Houston Millette didn't score in regulation. Hits a huge 3 the first overtime, a huge 3 the second overtime that essentially sealed it to go to 4 points. I mean, I shouldn't quite say sealed it, but at the end of it, it was the game-winning shot because, man, it's a good thing they missed that pull-up and that follow-up dunk, man. But our guys just kept battling. We got down, you know, we opened the lead up there in first half, kind of first 4 minutes of the game. They came roaring back, went up 14. You know, then it was 10 at the half. We came out, had a chance to make a free throw to cut it to 7, and it felt like a minute later it was back to 14, and that's when I called the timeout. So to be down 14 in both halves and fight your way back, get to overtime, you know, we got plenty of end-of-game situations we got to do better at, letting Acuff get that 3 off late. You know, we not good. They needed to get him inside the line. We got to review that. We got to be better, you know, especially with a guy that had that many points at that time. So a lot to learn from, but it's great to learn from a win. So, and this is big. You know, we're currently tied with them in the conference, and, you know, this is the only time we play them, so we got the tiebreaker. Big win as far as that goes for seeding. You know, now we got 5 games left, and we got to try to get our guys back healthy. The good thing for us is we got a lot more depth. You know, I feel bad for Taylor. I thought he was going to be able to go a little bit more, and he just didn't quite have the pop. Great kid, great teammate. You know, asked him if he could go for us late, and he's too stiff. But hopefully, you know, he's progressing the right way. Hopefully we get him in. You know, London had some minutes in a tight game, which is great for him. Thought, you know, some of these guys played a lot of minutes. We're going to have to get them rested by Saturday because it's a big game Saturday too.
You spend a lot of time in the offseason on conditioning, and you play a certain pace. When you see your guys down 14, spill the guts on the court like they did tonight, and still have something at the end, what does that say about your offseason program, and what does that say about your team?
Great question. I thought, you know, like you said, down 14 with some time left in the second half. I think we cut it. It was 13 points at like 12:30, I believe, and then in less than 4 minutes, we went go on a 15-2 run to tie it up at 77 all. And we told these guys, like, they don't have much depth. We need to crack them. We didn't crack them in the first half. Credit to them. They kind of cracked us, to be honest with you. But we were able to kind of crack them there in the middle of the second half, and then it was a dogfight from there. But to go to the offseason, we're not big on going to the track and just running guys' legs out. We play a lot of basketball, you know, with our time that we've got, and we tell them that, like, the best way to get him, and basketball is different than almost any other sport. Like, you can run miles, you can run sprints. Like, basketball's sprint, stop, jump, slide. It's all kinds of different stuff. The best way to get in basketball shape is play basketball at a really high level and really intense for longer periods of time. So that's how we get in shape in the summer. And we practice hard, not at this point of the year with all the injuries we've had, but all summer, all fall. Like, we practice hard and we get after them and we put time in, and it's good to know we're in pretty good shape. I mean, Aiden Sherrill, 7-foot center. It goes 38 and a half minutes tonight, so give him a lot of credit. And our guys were disciplined, I thought, with not fouling. We knew that they were a little foul prone, which is typical of the athletes they have. I mean, they're able to get off the ground and go block some shots. We're able to foul Pringle out in 20. I mean, he played here. We kind of know his tendencies. Elite shot blocker, but also very jumpy to get him. So, we just told our guy, get in there, you got to use shot fakes on these guys. 'Cause if you don't, it's going to be a layup on the other end off their block shots. They ended up with 6 block shots to our 1. It was tough on the 2 goaltending calls that both went against us that were pretty identical plays, I thought. But, maybe we would have had one more if that one would have gone our way. But, Brazilians up with 3 blocks, and thought our guys did a pretty good job with all their athletes in there, kind of getting to the free throw line.
Yeah, talking about those second half deficits of 14-13, what was the difference defensively? Was it scheme? Was it just more juice on the defensive end?
Well, it was a little of both. I thought our guys picked the effort up. I thought Coach Adams did a really good job. We kind of went to more switching. We had big Aiden in a drop, and our guards just didn't do a very good job getting into the Acuff and Thomas and running them off the three-point line inside. Matter of fact, they did an awful job of it. So we just decided to cross-match and then switch. We put Amari on their center, Pringle, and then he could just switch. They're not a heavy post-up team. They did throw it in there a few times and didn't score. We were fortunate they missed some of those. So, obviously most of their scoring is coming from their guards. So if they were going to go to a heavy post-up game, it's going to go away from what they typically do. So, I thought Coach Adams had a good suggestion. We kind of went to cross-match and switching up, kind of trying to load up off the non-shooters that they had on the floor. Richmond hit a couple pull-ups that, we were good with him taking. Wagner hit the 1-3. We were good with him taking a lot of those. He only took 4, went 1 for 4. But some of it was definitely scheme, and I thought we did give better effort there as needed. We ended up out-rebounding them, and at halftime, I think we were down, if I remember right, on the rebounds at the half. Yeah, we were down 2 at the half and ended up winning the rebounds by 7. So we out-rebounded them after halftime by 9, which when you're switching and your guards are on their bigs, you really got it. So I thought we had a little bit more fight. Sometimes that happens when your guards get switched onto a big. They play a little harder. We need them to play that hard, whether they're switched onto a big or not. They got to give us like that kind of effort. So little combination of both.
Yeah, what did you tell the guys going into the second overtime?
I said they're running out of guys and they're running out of steam. I said Acuff hasn't been out of the game yet. I got multiple guys with 4 fouls. Like, we got to run. Like, we should be the more fresh team. I said the best way to run is get stops. We got to get stops and we got to run. And we are not turning this into a walk-it-up game. Not sure how much we were able to get out in transition in the second half, but I just kept trying to encourage them. I mean, they could get a little deflated, particularly at the end of regulation. We give up that 3 we shouldn't have gave up. In the overtime, I mean, there's some tough plays. We got this, we didn't score. We didn't have a very good possession there. We had the ball tied. Had a bad possession. Hindsight, probably should have called timeout when it wasn't going well. There's plenty of stuff I messed up in the game. I got to take ownership, and we got to look at it as a staff. But just encourage them. Look, we got the stop. We're good. We're going to second overtime. We're the deeper, more fresh team. We kind of took Houston out, put Holloway in. Thought he'd be a little more fresh, and he made some big plays for us. So we used our depth tonight, I thought, pretty well. They had 7 guys that played more than 4 minutes. You look at us, we had 9 guys that played more than 4 minutes and played 10 guys. So, and if Taylor gets 10 more seconds. We had 8 guys play double-digit minutes, so we had a little more depth. We're starting to get healthy. We need to continue to get healthier and healthier. Taylor needs to get healthy because he can give us a lot when he's healthy, but we're getting a lot closer than we were a week or two ago.
If Amari Allen hadn't grown into the player that he is right now, what would this team's ceiling be, and how important is he going to be to Alabama in the weeks ahead?
Amari's big. He had a double-double. He almost had a double-double at the half. If I remember, yeah, he had 11 and 9 at the half, so ends up with 19-11. Need him to probably rebound a little bit more there in the second half, but ended up leading the team in minutes because he's so versatile, can play 1 through 4. He's the guy that we put on the 5 so that he could switch because he can guard guards. I didn't think they'd take advantage of him in the post as much. So, he makes our ceiling significantly higher with the way he's playing. We need to continue to pump him full of confidence. He didn't shoot it, great. I'm sure he's a pretty driven player. I'm sure he'll be in there working on all that. But, man, he made some big defensive plays, some tough rebounds, second leading rebounder, behind Sherrill with 13, and he ended up with 11. So, he's going to be a big part of what we do here moving forward, if we're able to get this thing headed the right direction like I think we're going to here.
On Houston's threes, what does it not only say about him to step up and make those big shots, but his teammates to trust him in those big moments?
Yeah, I mean, this is a kid that all summer and fall and all of our 4-on-4 and 5-on-5 live action shot 49% from 3. Like, everybody knows he can really shoot. He puts time into it. He's an elite shooter. We, staff, the guards that are out there, we have to do a better job getting him more shots. I feel bad every time we get to an end of game. I mean, he's 2 for 3. Can you get him 10? He probably goes 6 of 10, 7 of 10, 10 good ones. So we didn't get him good enough shots. And then we also got to, everybody believes in him. And when he got that open 3 right there in front of the bench in the left corner, I don't think anybody on our team wasn't fully confident that thing was hitting the bottom of the net. He's been shooting it great in practice. We got to find him more shots, and that's on me. It's on us. We got to get him more.
Yeah, Sherrill's offensive impact just as a roller, was that a big part of the game plan coming in, or was that more an adjustment you saw on the fly?
No, it was a big part. I didn't think we hit him enough. There was times he was open on the roll that we didn't get it to him. We needed to get it to him more. We knew it'd be open. They do a pretty good job making sure your guards aren't able to get down. Now, they mix their coverages up. Our guards were able to get downhill at times, but yeah, his finishing at the rim, I'm looking like we were pretty good. We were 1-3-6 tonight overall, but when he was in the game, we were 1-5. So his impact rolling, finishing at the rim at 10 of 13, making his free throws, getting offensive rebounds. He had positive offensive leverage. He played well. He had positive defensive leverage, so I led the team in plus minus. He was great, and great thing that Clark did a good enough job making sure he was ready to go, that he was able to play almost 40 minutes tonight.
Nate, what did you think of the Acuff Phylon back and forth there, and how do you think LeBaron held his own there and helped you guys get the win?
Look, I told LeBaron before the game, we don't have to outscore this kid. We need to win the game. You need to be a better leader, a better teammate, if you will, a better everything that goes about winning. Not to say that Darius isn't. I'm not speaking to him at all. I'm talking to what we needed Barron to do, because Acuff just went for 49, very good player, and they've won a lot of high-level games. But I didn't want him thinking he needed to outscore Acuff. We needed to think about what it took to win the game. His defense on Acuff, his playmaking ability. Barron ends up with 7 assists. Acuff played well, obviously, with 49, but, he had 5 assists. Barron had 7. So I think there was things, and obviously it got to the end, and they were both scoring a lot, and we didn't do a very good job on him at all for most of the game. I just, when he plays these other really good guards, we need to get to win. That's it. His version of outplaying them needs to be better defense, better leadership, better ball movement, better floor leadership, all that. And I thought he was pretty good at a lot of that tonight. So, Acuff won the scoring deal, we got the win. That's what I told him. Like, if Acuff wins the scoring, we get the win. Great job. I thought he did a pretty good job, a lot of that stuff.
Well, that was going to be my question. If you could evaluate LeBaron's performance, because you had challenged him before and said, he didn't need to outscore Acuff, he just needed to win. But he only had 2 turnovers. Also, maybe you can address the fact that he was real good with the ball, taking care of it.
Yeah, great point, because some of these other games when we've played other elite guards, he's come out, tried to do too much, and ended up, he's had 2 turnovers before we even get to the first media timeout in a lot of these other games. We addressed that with him, showed him some of the other games and what he's done. To only have 2 turnovers and play over 40 minutes, pretty good. So, I thought he did a much better job taking care of the ball. And you look, man, he drew 10 fouls. So, the fact that they had to play 2 guys that never play at the end of the games, in large part due to LeBaron doing a really good job driving the ball. We played 50 minutes tonight, had 86 possessions, and we only took 29 threes. So everybody's worried about taking our 3 away, which they should be with the way we play, and this team was too. They did some switching, and the lane was wide open for Rel on those those rolls because they're so worried about our 3-point shooting. But we ended up outscoring them in the paint by 12. So I thought Barron did a good job of that, finding Sherrell on the roll, getting to the paint himself, drawing fouls. So if you combine the paint points and the free throws, we're plus 23. So everybody's, and they shot 3 less threes, but made 3 more. So they made more threes than us. They shot a better percentage from it, but we were able to adjust. Teams want to take away 3, that's fine. We can score in the lane, score at the rim, score at the free throw line. I thought our guys did a pretty good job of that, and I think LeBaron was right at the top, making sure he had it up, that paint attack, free throw attack, and did a good job with that tonight.